Two fans. These are your fans, Steve P and Mr. Dan Scholes, back for another episode of the podcast that you guys spent all your weeks waiting to drop. First of all, Mr. Dan Scholes, a week ago you were pretty sore after your first marathon. Have you recovered? Are you back on the horse?
Not back on the horse, Stevie. Definitely not yet to find the running shoes yet. But man was back on the cricket field this weekend. We played a little last man stand, so feeling completely different muscle groups. And I always find with cricket that it's muscle groups that one hasn't used in years. But so yeah, I've been back on the sports field, playing some tag rugby, playing some fives footy, playing some last man stand. So I'm active, just not on the running track yet. Those shoes are well off. But the body's slowly getting back to its best.
So after this weekend, I'm hearing rumors that you put your name down for the SA20 auction in September.
Listen, bro, if anyone
trying to get that Sunrise
if anyone in Southwest London on the selectors board was there on Sunday, they would have seen a couple tiles broken on the roof after clearing the rope. It was a bit unfortunate that I hope that's when they left, because the next ball was when I was caught on the boundary. But it was good to don the whites again.
But that's baseball, dude. It's about being aggressive, It's about not backing down. So that probably would have elevated your chances.
We mentioned IPL players, a good score is like 20 off 6. I think I got 26 off like 15. Progress. Baseball. It's good.
Right, yeah. No, I back you. So the county contract coming in, the 100, I think is a Scottish Super 10 coming up. There's plenty of franchise cricket there. Come on, Scott. Got to get over there.
I'm getting it.
Right, well, we'll get straight into the predictions here. And things aren't looking very good for Steve, who, after taking a roaring lead, has decided to be a bit bolder with his predictions, and it has backfired in the last few weeks. So we're going to go into the predictions. Basically what happens is we predict 3 every single week. And Dan, would you like to take us through what happened last week and what the updated scoreboard is currently looking at?
I would love to, Stevie. So, 3 matches were United versus Arsenal, Liverpool versus Aston Villa, and then Bulls versus Glasgow. Stevie, the score was 8-5, I believe, after last game week, and that was after it was 8-2. So it's been 3 on the bounce for me. And going into this weekend, as you can tell from my chipper voice, you might anticipate how this one's going. But let's start off with the United Arsenal game. Stevie, your prediction was a bold 3-1 United. The final result being 1-0 to Arsenal. My prediction was 2-0 Arsenal. So by virtue of picking the right results, I get that done there. Next one, in Aston Villa versus Liverpool. Stevie, your prediction was 2-0 Liverpool. Mine was 2-1 Liverpool. Result 3-3. Bit of a rogue one. To be fair, I think that almost played out in the 2-1. No, it was close to 3-1. Then Liverpool kind of giving up a lead in the 80th, 90th, between the 80th and 90th minute there. So again, by virtue of being closer, I take a 2-0 unassailable lead. And going on to Bulls Glasgow, I mean, your prediction should have been right. They were up by 20 with like 10 to play. And then they just let Glasgow score 3 tries out of nowhere. Bulls getting it down in the end, 40 points to 34. Stevie, your prediction, well, we both landed on 10.
Yeah, we both in Bulls by 10.
And then you were happy enough to bump yours up to 12. Mine remained at 10. So the Bulls win by 6. It's close for me. So clean sweep. And it's a lovely taste of victory. 8-6. The comeback is not just on, it is an absolute slide now at the moment. I mean, you still got a 2-point lead. So I'm
not panicking. I'm not panicking. There's still plenty of time to get to.
Trust me, I've been there, and you start second guessing, and you think you know it, and now so just make sure that you try to stop the slide, because I'm feeling razor sharp with my predictions at the moment.
Right.
But
Right.
let's get into this last weekend's rugby fixtures, Stevie.
Okay, good. So, because I've been holding in my rant about the Sharks for a while now.
Let's set the scene here. Lions have been needing need a couple other results to go their way, right? Sharks hosting a Benetton, fresh off traveling, having just played as Sharks have, to be fair, a Challenge Cup semi-final. And tell us what happened next, Stevie.
Well, we spoke about when we did the last week, and we said, and we were talking about the fact that Sharks might rotate. They didn't rotate, and I said that I thought they might not rotate, given that they didn't play at their best against Clermont, and they've got limited time to get ready for the Challenge Cup final, which is not this weekend but the following weekend. And what do these useless waste of space players for a waste of space franchise in a waste of space city in a waste of space province decide to do? They concede a try in the last 2 minutes to lose the sodding game. They had one job. Literally one job. Honestly, I've always talked about how stupid the concept of breaking out Cape Town from the rest of South Africa. I'm willing to lose Natal. We can ship them off with the box and all. We'll cope. We'll manage.
The whole province being caught in the crossfire. What did Peter Marks do to you?
Been one. I mean, no, but think about it. They've had riots. They've had flooding. They've had weather. Now they've got a useless rugby team. Like every single test match we have there finishes at 4:00 in the afternoon because of bad light. Every single test match is empty, and we always play Indian test matches that were effectively the away game there. Please tell me where good news comes from Natal. I'm done. I'm bored of it. So we must come back here. You must come back to the real parts of South Africa and go back to the Cheetahs and come to the Lions. We'll take them.
Yeah.
No, I'm fuming. Fuming.
I reckon there's a part of them that is having. I mean, I don't know if they definitely wouldn't have thrown the game. You know, I'm not making those accusations, but there's a part of them that I think is laching because they were obviously far down the log for most of the season and decided to put all their eggs into the Challenge Cup basket. And there was a point where I think Lions probably could have done the same, right? And they could have been like, okay, well, let's bin top 8. We can let's try go for the Challenge Cup here. And it's a risky move because it's knockout rugby and anything can happen on one day, and that can be your season then thrown away. But if Sharks get it over the line, get into the Champions Cup, and Lions don't qualify, they are having a fat laugh at URC.
We'd be 1 point behind 8th. If they won. And now we've got to beat Glasgow, who currently top the log, and then go and beat Stormers away, just to have a chance.
Yeah. And have a
fuming.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, as I say, you shouldn't have to want to rely on other people's fixtures, but I think we've come to, as South African sports fans, know what it's like to have to rely on other people's fixtures. I'm thinking of South African.
I mean, the Sharks lost 12 games in the URC. Could they just win one more? I just needed one more out of them. I mean, 4 wins. It's actually an embarrassment. To think that they might make Champions Cup
4 wins is nuts.
With 12 URC losses.
4 wins is nuts out of 16. Negative 50 points difference, like with the amount of investment.
It's disgusting. Really. Should be allowed in the Champions Cup, even though they win the Challenge Cup.
Actually, that could have been what would have been interesting if had Benetton won the Challenge Cup. They probably wouldn't have sent over as good of a team, but that would have been a kind of a prequel to the final, or what could have been. So maybe also fair play to Benetton. You have to give them their kudos. They went over there, and essentially the season could have been done within the space of 2 games, having lost the semi-final, and then if I think they lost to the Sharks, it would have really kind of put that top 8 race under jeopardy. But
the thing is that you look at, and it's a race at the moment between Lions, Connacht, and Benetton and Edinburgh for that last sort of spot. Ulster to a point, but Ulster's now 5 points clear, so they're pretty much fine. if Benetton was sitting on 45 points, for example, they're playing Bulls this weekend in Loftus. Don't really back them. Bulls can probably get the job.
Bulls were
Okay, Lions
hunting
playing Glasgow Warrior.
Potentially a home semi.
Yeah. So now, once again, I've got to rely on the Bulls beating Benetton. And then I've got to rely on the Stormers going over and beating Connacht, which is not going to happen because the Stormers are going. I just know what they're going to go and be absolutely dog on this weekend and lose to Connacht and then put together their best performance of the season, beat us in the final thing. We'll miss out on top 8 by like 2 points, and then they're going to get drugged by like Munster, like by 50 points in the quarterfinals, and that'll be their season. It's like it's a conspiracy. Every single South African team are out to ensure that Lions can't have nice things, whilst they then take the nice things we do have, like all our players.
Yeah. Listen, it's a tough gig being a Lions fan right now. Especially, it feels like the cogs started turning this season. And then when you leave, having gotten so close, listen, there's a possibility. It's not dead in the water, Stevie.
Yeah, well, I'm going this weekend. I'm going to Ados on Saturday, so it's my first appearance since before COVID. So no, they bring out the big guns this week. You know, so they contact me and they said
each one of them a team talk about not leaving the line.
Yeah, no, they've had to call in the big guns here. You know, they've they phoned me, Cash phoned me and said, "Listen, Steve, you know how important this game is. We've got to do it. And at the end of the day, you could be the difference between a win and a loss against Glasgow." So they've brought me in simply so that I can go chat to Carl Steyn and just one time in before the game, finish their captain, and then the lines are sorted. I'm there to clear out the route.
And to get through some of the other fixtures or results rather, that happened this last weekend. Stormers leaving it pretty late to get it done over the Drags. We did say that Drags have been actually playing a little bit more decently recently, and they did put up a good fight, but Stormers getting that done and pretty much taking them out of any worry about sliding out of the top 8 there. I agree. I think this weekend versus Connacht, I think Connacht have something to play for. Stormers don't really. It's just about points. They're not going to get a home quarter at this point. So, I mean, the best they can do is kind of go for 5th. And then some other notable results. The Scarlets going down to Ulster again. Then Ulster guaranteeing pretty much their top 8. Munster with a big win, 47 points to 12 over Connacht, leaving Connacht in a similar position to you. Leinster with a massive win versus Osprey, 61 points to 14. And then finally Edinburgh beating Zebre, 40 points to 14. But as you said, these games, you're just hoping for a little Zebra upset there. So Stevie, going into this weekend, let's look at the fixtures up ahead, and big one, as you mentioned, is the Lions versus Glasgow Warriors, Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff. Doesn't give more.
Well, there's lots of big ones in this top 8. I mean, I'm looking at Edinburgh, who've got Munster at home, and then they're going away to Benetton for their last one.
That's actually
so. They're also sitting on 48 points. So it's
they're catchable. They're catchable.
No, they are catchable. No, the thing is, they could very well lose both these games. So the Lions will get a bonus point win this weekend. They could actually go ahead of Edinburgh if Munster were to hammer them. And then if Lions were to take like 2 bonus points out of Stormers, then they could sneak past Edinburgh. Problem is, then Benetton's got to win.
You start playing some funky jigsaw puzzling to get the results going away.
It's going to be wild.
Ulster Leinster will be big as well, but I think Leinster are going to play a probably pretty decent team there, or maybe not because of the Champions Cup final.
Look, even Ulster aren't out of the contention yet, because they've also got 2 tough games to finish. They've got Leinster and then they've got Munster.
True that.
So that's what I'm saying. And I look back at the Lions loss to Munster, which for me hurt a lot, because if we'd won that game, we'd be sitting in such a good position. We'd be sitting on about 47 points if we'd won that game, behind Edinburgh, Benetton, and Ulster, who arguably 2 at least have probably a harder run than the Lions. Although, having said that, Glasgow Warriors, I mean, it's a massive team to beat. But at home at Ellis, you got to back them. But you know what? We'll see. I back my boys.
Then we've got Bulls Benetton as well, as mentioned earlier. Bulls looking to get they'll get a home quarter, potentially could fight for a home semi, but a bit of an outside chance there, but definitely we can get it done. Benetton, another must win for them to avoid the Lions on the prowl. Sharks Cardiff, pretty dead rubber, neither of which have anything to play for. Ospreys Drags, same story. Ospreys, after their massive statement win over the Stormers away from home, have actually been pretty shocking over the last couple of weeks. So
falling out of contention,
they're well out of contention now. But exciting. There are a multitude of possibilities with 2 weeks to go still of what could happen for the remainder. So as fans, I mean, it's nice for me being a Stormers fan. I can rest a little easy, not worry too much. But I'm somewhat.
You lose this weekend, and I'm not doing the pod next week. We're cancelling this. I'm going to have to find somebody else to do this
Well, next weekend is when you want us to really lose. This weekend, I mean, I can't promise both, but judging by Stormers' away form, I can't promise anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, very exciting. I'm very excited to watch how the Lions versus Glasgow Warriors go, because that's essentially that. I think that's the biggest game of the weekend. Both teams are desperate to win.
Yeah, look, I think it's about them making a statement. If they go out and get a bonus point win and put themselves on 49 points, then that's them saying we're not dying wondering here. You know, the annoying thing is Lions missed out on qualification last year by 3 points. 48 points was Sharks in 8th position, and Lions won 45. So, you know, chance we will finish with more points than last year at this rate. We only need 2 more from the next 2 games. And that's the annoying thing is we could get 2 more wins and still not finish top 8, whereas 48 points last year would have guaranteed you top 8.
Yeah, I mean, the top 10 has been very competitive. They're all actually solid rugby teams, and they're playing, you know, good rugby. And there's a bit of a drop-off, I think, for the, you know, bottom few, particularly those Welsh sides. But it's helped, I think, with the resurgence of Benetton bringing up the Italian side, because they weren't kind of close to where they are now currently. They were really, really solid foundations. But we'll have to see what happens this weekend. And then before the final game week of the season. But let's get into the football, Stevie. Arsenal were hoping that Tottenham could get it done last night versus
Never happening. Never happening.
That Son miss, you know, that's going to sit with them, the Arsenal fans. And it was quite funny looking at the fans' reaction. There's been a lot of talk about Big Ange and the reaction about, you know, people asking him, "Oh, you're going to throw the game?" But you could tell even in the Tottenham stands that they weren't quite as up for it as if it were a typical game. Yeah. You know, they were disappointed with like the Son miss, but it wasn't the type of atmosphere like they had had everything on the line. They had such an outside chance of making, you know, top 4. It could have been done, and they would have wanted to get the win. But with that, I think it's like one of those. Now that they have lost, it is versus City. Like, I think, to be honest, I think a lot of the fans are relieved. I don't know, where do you sit in this conversation? You know, not throwing a game, but, you know, hoping your team doesn't get the win, and then as a result, your rivals can't get a league trophy. If you were sitting in the same position with Liverpool or City, what would your instinct be?
Well, I think for me, from a Spurs perspective, you got to try and block that out. The reality is that they were in the top 4 race until last night. You know, Villa dropping points meant that if Spurs had won last night, they would have been 2 points behind Villa. Unlikely, because they would have needed Villa to have lost this weekend. But mathematically, still in the top 4 race. They now can't. No, they can't. I mean, I think they have to win by Like Villa, I think they have to win by like 10 goals this weekend. Villa will have to lose by like
It's not happening.
a couple of goals for them to mathematically make it. So it's not happening. So that was their top. That was Champions League going, and I think that's what Big Ange was so pissed off about, is that he said, everyone's talking about the title race. He said, we've got Champions League on the line. We've got
which is a lot
lot
of
to
money
play for here.
by the way.
Huge. And what I'm really enjoying about Big Ange is that he's so aware that there's shit wrong with Spurs. He's talked about. He said there's factors inside, outside. He said we've got very shaky foundations. He said I think he's very aware that first of all the squad's not good enough.
Even
sorry,
a fan during
exactly.
the match to say stop essentially chatting shit and trying to get us to lose this game, because like who the hell do you think you are? Because then it's also football fans are fickle. Then he loses this game and the next game, and they're calling for his head. You know what I mean? So for him, he's got to protect himself. And I agree with what you're saying. Because there was a chance it would maybe have been a different conversation had top four already been gone. Then you can you can make your point of view obvious by which team you select.
And also Europa is a league killer. You don't want to be in the Europa League if you want to contend for the league. And if there's one thing that Spurs have showed, is that Big Ange is there. He wants to win trophies. So look, I don't know if maybe next season they go and sit there and say, right, okay, well, we're in Europa, we can actually win this tournament. That could be that can be the monkey off the back. I mean, I think everybody was quick to slag him as soon as Spurs started playing badly. But I still think he's had a hell of a first season. If you look at coping without Harry Kane, which is massive. I mean, you just lost your record goal scorer.
So much closer to Champions League than they did last season. Without someone who scored 30 something goals throughout the league. I mean, yesterday's
So it's been a huge season for Spurs, and I think he's pissed off because I think he knows that they've progressed and that top four would have meant a bit more money, and he said he could really reinforce the squad and actually start turning them into. Look, league contenders, maybe not yet, but turn them into a team that stays within the top four and competes for that top four, not just sort of like an outside chance. I mean, the fact that chances are, I don't think Villa make top four next season. We don't really see it very often when the sort of teams who are usually outside the top four go season. Look at Newcastle; they had a bit of a drop off this season, and I expect Villa to do the same. So but I think Chelsea will be better next season. United can only be better next season. So I think that's where he's pissed off. Is they lost a big opportunity, but to try and keep that distance between a United, a Spurs, and Newcastle.
I think with Spurs also they're not going to sign the marquee players that are worth, let's say 80 million plus, because those types of players are likely not wanting to go to Spurs, and they'll go for Champions League football. But what they can do is with Champions League money, they can sign a couple, 40, 50 million pound players, and turn them. Those can become the Sons of this world. The people that become really good players and those investment opportunities. And they have actually been, pretty decent in the transfer market. Think of the addition of James Maddison this season. He's been amazing. If he had been injured a bit less, they probably would have had Champions League football at this stage. So I think just having that cash to continue to bolster their squad is what they need to be able to remain relevant. I think there's still, I wonder if there's a question mark there if they're going to go after a striker. It's like they kind of have Brennan Johnson, but he's been playing on the wing. Richarlison's there, but he's also been injured in and out of form. Son is, I think, better on the wing than straight through the middle. I mean, he's been playing a lot through the middle this season. So there are areas, I think.
I mean, look, I guess it's a bit of a race for Ivan Toney, isn't it?
True.
And I think that Spurs were serious. I think they'd be going all out for him, because they need. I think they have to get a striker. Yes, they've coped in inverted commas with Kane, but if Harry Kane stayed, they would have made Champions League.
Yeah,
it's quite simple. And so they need to find that person. And it's about depth as well. As you mentioned, Maddison getting injured, all of a sudden that's kind of their Champions League spot's sort of gone. And the problem again, an Aston Villa comes sixth, for example. Great season for them. Spurs go to Ollie Watkins and say, come play Champions League with us. Be our big striker, stuff like that. He maybe thinks about it. Now Ollie Watkins.
No one's leaving. No one's leaving Villa this season.
Then that Villa side, you can't touch them
last season. Why would you? It's like and I'm glad, especially for Villa, they're they're an amazing club within the Premier League. They were, only a couple seasons ago in the Championship, barely stayed up. That was that pretty much Jack Grealish keeping them up single-handedly at that point.
Yeah.
Went through a bit of an early bounce with Steven Gerrard, then drop off, and then Unai Emery has just played absolute magic, and they've invested a lot of money. To be fair, first season up in the Premier.
Made some very good signings. Backed some of their big players. McGinn, who was always a bit of a enigma in terms of how good is he actually?
Yeah.
Well, he is actually that good.
Their most integral players this season, but even Yuri Tielemans, chipping away. Moussa Diaby, Leon Bailey, they're all contributing and have come into their own. And I think Unai Emery has managed to really get the most of those players. Where when you saw the latter stage of Gerrard, it was like he had very similar players, he just couldn't get the best out of them. So I'm really excited to see Villa in the Champions League. I just think it's awesome to watch. These types of clubs do well. Stevie, on the other end, we've got what looks like the beginning of a mass exodus at United. You guys still have a chance of getting above Chelsea, and we'll probably figure out a lot of that from after this evening. Brighton are hosting Chelsea at away, or Chelsea will be away, and then Man United will be hosting Newcastle both this evening. And then final games of the game week, you're going to Brighton, and then Chelsea are hosting Bournemouth. So none of those teams, no one has anything to play for other than pride at this point. But we've just seen the announcement of Varane leaving, his contract expiring. Casemiro rumored to be going to Saudi. Wan-Bissaka apparently leaving. Martial apparently leaving. There's still question marks over what happens with Sancho. So is this the big overhaul that you've been waiting for? And who are you looking at as a Man United fan? To try and bolster the squad, because there clearly are big holes there, and for me the biggest one is the leadership holes. But who do you see if you could take a top three picks to come in and to replace those outgoing members of the squad?
Yeah, so we were talking about it yesterday. I've got a group with my my brothers and my dad and all United fans, and the exodus is going to be mental in terms of contracts. Ending. Varane's going, Martial's going, Johnny Evans is a 1-year contract, which we don't really want to renew. That was a knees must. Even like a Tom Heaton's going. Amrabat's on loan.
Is he only on loan?
He leaves.
I didn't know that. I thought he was signed.
Yeah. So he's on loan. So he hasn't really been. Look, I think he's had a tough time in terms of having to fill in for all the various injuries, but I think he's going.
Box to box.
You've then got Jadon Sancho. What happens with him? Donny van der Beek comes back, and there's not much space for him in the squad, so he probably goes. And then you've got players like, I think it's McTominay, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Lindelof, and Eriksen all have 1 year left in their contract. So if you're going to cash in on any of them and you don't see them as the future, now is potentially the time. So I think we're genuinely going to look at potentially 8, even 9 exits of players who have been in and around the first team in the last few years. So that's a good quarter of your squad.
What will be good is the week to week salary. Will be looking a lot healthier after getting rid of them. But of all those names you mentioned, I'm not seeing any of them. Maybe Sancho, but even so, there's so much bargaining power against Man United there because they know of the chaos cause. But there's no one selling for more than 40 million. I don't think. No one's going to.
Yeah, we won't get a lot of money in. No, you're not going to get a lot of money in. Obviously, it's Sancho and Greenwood. Are the ones that are sellable.
But again, whoever's going to buy them know the position that they're in, and they know Man United are stuck between a rock and a hard place. And Man United don't have the bargaining power with their potentially their two biggest chips. So
Getafe, for example, I think will want to keep Greenwood, but we're not going to get a lot of money out of them. And I think Sancho will want to go back to Dortmund. I'm very interested to see what happens with the Sancho ordeal. Obviously, it'll depend on what happens with Ten Hag. if he does leave, then maybe Sancho goes and says, well, maybe, I need to actually prove a point. I think from his point of view, I don't think people will rate him as highly as he probably should be unless he chooses to stay 5-star and try and prove he can do it in the Premier League. Because, yes, he's an underperforming United, but Bruno Fernandes, for example, has been in an underperforming United his entire career and is still, stats-wise, one of the top midfielders in Europe. And, Sancho wants to be that kind of player, then he needs to be able to do it in the Premier League. And because,
just,
as an English player, that's what people will judge you on.
We've seen it
at the end of the day.
Marquee players, the Pogbas of this world, trying to being the marquee signee of Man United this season, and this is the turnaround point, and then it just not quite working out. Even Lukaku, leaving, going to Chelsea. I mean, he's either going to come back and fight, and to be honest, it seems like I don't know how that works. Someone's going to have to, whoever messages first, right? Is Jadon Sancho messaging first? After a Dortmund Champions League win, I'm not sure. I don't know if he necessarily needs to make peace. I feel like they both are kind of stuck there. I don't know how it will resolve, but I can see Sancho going back to Dortmund for a couple seasons, maybe trying to get a Bundesliga there, but he's still young. I think he will try and make his way then back into the Prem, much like Lukaku did, potentially for another club, maybe a return to City, his boyhood club. There are options for him. He's an English.
Imagine the snake move of that. Going to United, having a bust up with the manager, refusing to apologize, being shipped off on loan, then coming back and say, "Fine, well then I'll go back to City."
If he's playing all the football, you know what I mean. He's the only one laughing, right? If things stay the way where they are, so it's going to be an interesting transfer window for Man United. Whereas you kind of look at Chelsea and you think, geez, they really had a horrible season,
and they've had massive transfer windows. And I don't see a lot of I don't see the Chelsea exits.
But that's the thing, right? It's like we knew it was going to be chaos. You can't just throw like 20, 23-year-olds and expect some sort of consistency in it.
You also can't just go and sign all these players, throw together the squad, and then appoint the manager and say, right, well, here you go.
So
and because now the manager's going in and going, cool, that's great. This is not the kind of squad I want, for example. Or maybe it's close to the squad I want, but I've got far too many of this player. I need more of this type of player and stuff.
Conor Gallagher and Cole Palmer, Pochettino would have been out of a job by now. There's just no ways he would have gotten through the season.
Yeah.
But he's found those two, I think, as his, essentially one's holding down and the other one is scoring goals on top of the pitch. So I think if they can make, I don't know if they'll go for signings, but there's some sort of change that's happening there for the better, and they're finding a bit of consistency. They still have those blowout losses, that are obvious and a little bit scary. They're not nearly in a place, I don't think, to challenge for the league, but you can start seeing the framework of what a Chelsea could look like. I mean, even just Reece James coming back, getting an assist this weekend, he's class. If he can just stay fit, I mean, I do feel for him.
Yeah, where's Fofana? Didn't play the entire season. They Ben Chilwell also had his injury issues. They've been a bit like United, I suppose. Where they have had injuries to such important players consistently throughout the season. And as much as it sounds arbitrary, you look at title-winning teams, and I always use Liverpool as the big example. I mean, when you won that title, some of the players that stayed fit for you throughout the entire season.
So you can name that team, and you can name the usual Liverpool team, and 80% of games had the same players in them.
Yeah,
had the
City are the only anomaly. If you look at Arsenal statistically have used the least amount of players this season.
Yeah.
They've had the most consistent 11 the entire season. And that's what has to happen if you want to compete against City. City are the only squad that have the genuine, 24, 27 players that are interchangeable and can keep the standard. Everybody else has to have that miracle run, that miracle type season. And even then, as we're seeing, it's not enough.
I mean, Julian Alvarez, who had the most decorated season ever in professional football last season, treble and World Cup winner, is barely playing 50% of games. You know what I mean? That tells you everything you need.
Yeah, Kevin De Bruyne, who's been one of the best players in the Premier League for the last 4 or 5 years, missed half the season.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. And they coped. And Phil Foden just went, oh, cool, I'll just be the best player this season then. Thanks.
No, it's hard to compete. But just a quick look at the Premier League table. It's confirmed Sheffield and Burnley have gone down. I do hope Burnley keep hold of Vincent Kompany. I'd like to see him get another crack. It's a very young team.
The problem, I think Vincent had the same issue that Daniel Farke had, where you have to play football to stay up. It's admirable trying to come up and say, no, we're going to be positive, we're going to play nice football. You will get relegated. You are not good enough yet. You have to have a consolidation season where you bring your same squad up, you make a few additions, you don't overhaul the squad, and you keep it tight.
Sean Dyche.
1-1s, nil-nils. You got to, and Eddie Howe had similar things when he was on the Bournemouth run. He came up and stayed in, and then you have your big season, your 7th place finish, your 8th place finish, for example. But the problem is, once again, then you've got to respect the league and say, cool, we can't all of a sudden just continue trying to become this amazing flame. You've got to keep it solid. You cannot stay up with 5 wins and 9 draws. 23 losses, you can't. You've got to have more draws.
The integrity of the Premier League is kind of coming into question, Stevie. I mean, you're looking at City about to get their 4th title on the bounce. You
first
are
ever.
looking at 3 teams who came up from the Championship, all going straight back down. It's giving me Super League vibes, and
well, I'm all in for the Super League now these days.
Your only confirmed qualification, but I mean, City have always been. I think bar 2 of their titles have been able to walk in the league, and the one was when United came second, and the other one was kind of last season, but that was only really the last 8 game weeks. Otherwise, it has been very close. Largely and coming down, I think this will be their 3rd one that's coming down to the final day, which means they have been pushed. And this is where it's just like, for me, it's like, how do they fucking get it done every time?
Every time.
It's just, it kills me. It kills me inside. And now the Premier League's cuck. We are turning into the Italian league. It's just like when it's just like one team dominance. We need to knock them off their perch, and they need to actually just get relegated. Where are those charges against them?
Those charges, I'm about to say, because for all we say that it's becoming the Super League, where are the charges at? I'm putting until that's resolved. Every one of those leagues for me has a little asterisk next to it. Yeah. Every one of them.
No, take them all away. Take them absolutely all away.
Because then we get one.
No ways. That would be unbelievable.
Could you imagine? The cross would be like
Jose. Jose Mourinho.
It was Jose, dude. Jose the GOAT, dude. Comes back for a title celebration.
City have been dominated.
Imagine Pogba, who currently can't play football because he's banned, comes back, lifting the Premier League. Yes, boys.
But yeah, final game week this season. Jurgen Klopp's swan song at home versus Wolves. That'll be a good one to watch. Apparently, the man pulled his hamstring against Villa, so maybe man will be donning some red crutches for his final one. I'm sure that it won't stop him celebrating and having a good time. And otherwise, it's just Arsenal hosting Everton, where it's obviously a must-win for them, being...
Right, hello everybody and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. It is crunch time, Lions fans. It is Lions versus Glasgow Warriors. A must win game. It's simple as that. Lions lose, that's their URC season done. They've got to go out and get the job today, and they play against a proper side in Glasgow Warriors, who have been one of the top sides in the competition. Currently topping the log are the Glasgow Warriors, but they're at home are the Lions, and at Ellis Park, we need Fortress Ellis today. We've got to get Fortress Ellis. We've got to be on a different level. We really do, to try and beat Franco Smith's team. And it's going to take one hell of an effort if we are to get a result. So we'll go to the Lions in just a little bit, waiting for the teams to come out. So slightly delayed. Kickoff was supposed to be now, but we still haven't got kickoff. So we'll get there slowly but surely. But welcome to the street. Smash like on the video if you haven't already. Make sure that you subscribe if you are new to the channel. Welcome. Good to have you. And hope you guys are ready for what is going to be a huge clash in Johannesburg. As I said, this is it for the Lions. They cannot afford to lose any of their games from now. If they beat Glasgow today and they beat the Stormers away next week, they could very well find themselves in that top 8. But and nothing but a win will do, really, for the Lions. It's as simple as that. So, yeah, a little bit nervous, must admit, to being a bit nervous. I think important that the Lions start well. It's a very interesting team that the Lions have gone with. Not entirely sure I completely back it to be perfectly honest. I think some interesting decisions that have been made. But very interested to see how it goes, And I'll tell you what, in terms of what the Lions do have, there's a lot of kicking options with the late change due to Maurice Lowe being fairly elect fitness tests, and so therefore is going to change there. So we'll go to the teams in just a sec. He's actually, so we got Jordan Hendrickse, who is starting at 10, at 12, which I don't think he's ever started the game at 12 actually. So very interested to see how he goes over there. Philip Albert's leading the team out in place of Maurice Lowe. And as soon as my Flip website can load, I'll tell you exactly who else is in this Lions team. But yeah, so Philip Albert's captaining the side. I mean, this could be his second last professional game if the Lions don't make the playoffs. He is set to retire at the end of the season. And at the end of the season for the Lions could be next weekend if they don't win the next 2 games. So, yeah, I suppose he's playing for more rugby, really. He's playing to continue his career, and they'll be really desperate to try and get that playoff place. Craig Evans, the referee today. Right, so Glasgow Warriors will receive kickoff. Kieran Horn with ball in hand. He'll get us underway. Right, time on. There is the whistle, and we are underway. Deep restart there. A bit of a fumble, and it's rolling back to the Lions. So Jordan Hendrickse with ball in hand, ball flows to Manchester, also playing his last few games. Now BITDEFENDER Berg starting today. He almost slips a bit of a tackle. It's a nice start for him. So Lions on the front foot immediately. Good start here from them. Big carry there from Morgan O'Dear. And BITDEFENDER Berg goes to Johnny Lombard, who gets a start today. I think it might even be about a second or third. Oh, that's a terrible pass from Kieran Horn. He's thrown straight. I mean, really, mate. Straight into the hands of Hugh Jones. Really poor that from BITDEFENDER Berg. After what was a pretty good, promising start. But winning a penalty. So he gets away with that, does BITDEFENDER Berg. Oh, sorry, Kieran Horn, rather. Right, early decision here, guys. Go for touch. Go for touch, people. Let's please be positive here. We've got to be positive. We've got to score points. We've got to back ourselves. Let's go and get the points here, lads. You are taking the points here. Interesting that Johnny Lombard is kicking for points. You got Jordan Hendrickse as another option. So let's go to the team, shall we, in the meantime. So the Lions in the front row, there's Morgan O'Dear, PJ Burton, Asanate, and Claver Kanye. They are being captained today by Willem Alberts, who has Ruben Dalport for his lock partner. Johnny Lombard has missed that 3 points. Should have said we should have gone for the corner. If we look at the back row, it is Jace Pretorius, Manch Tuka, and Franco Horn. BITDEFENDER Berg next to Johnny Lombard. And they take it quickly. I have Glasgow Warriors. BITDEFENDER Berg, Marius Lowe, Eric Cornier, and Raz Bakwane. And then Kieran Horn over there. So, and it's not actually Marius Lowe. In fact, it's Jordan Hendrickse. As mentioned, Marius Lowe is failing a late fitness test. And as a result, Jordan Hendrickse does come in for him in the number 12 jersey. Now it's lifted high and it's allowed to bounce. And no Varsity, they go back for the penalty for Glasgow Warriors. The bench for the Lions looks like Yakimasaki, JP Smith, Ruandra, Renan North-Narkle, Ruan Fenter, Henry Serger, Sonana Hamba, and Manny Russ. He comes into the bench there. Right, for Glasgow, it is the Sapling-born Ollie Kebble in the number 1 jersey, next to Angus Fraser, Murphy Walker, Gregor Brown, Scott Cummings in the second row, a back row of Ewan Ferry, Rory Dodge, and Henko Fenter, the former Sharks loose forward. George Horn partners Tom Jordan in the halfback pairing, Carl Rowe, Carl Thane, and Josh McKay, the back three. You then got Sunil Lopoloto and Stafford McDowell in the centres. Off the bench, it is Johnny Matthews, Jamie Batty, Xander Ferguson, Max Williamson, Matt Ferguson, Jack Dempsey, Jamie Dobie, and Duncan Weir. It's a very solid bench. I think very much looking to nullify the impact of the altitude. Although they have been here for the week, but that'll be, I think, an important part of it. And it's a good take there from Kieran Horn, who's been dragged towards touch. Really, really poor from his teammates, giving him no support whatsoever. So it'll be a Glasgow Warriors line-out. No, there's nobody around him. So it was a good kick there. And the Lions players have got to do better to make sure they're an option there to try and help them out and keep them within touch. It's a solid carry there from Tupolotto. Quick ball here for Glasgow. Good hit there from Henko Fenter. Glasgow right in the front foot here. Good hands. And Carl Steyn finds a bit of space. Back in Johannesburg, where he was born and raised. Now, but it'll kick him behind. It's a good kick as well. Between the lines, backside 22. So apart from the early few phases with the Lions had, they've been put out a lot of pressure early on here by Glasgow. A little bit too easy, if you ask me. PJ Buerta, and it's decent line-outs, and Jordan Hendrickson will use his boot. He's got a nice big boot as Jordan Hendrickson. I mean, that's massive. And he's put them back on the 22. Stan goes to the left-hand side, yeah. Morning from the Burke trying to get across. It's a good carry there from Stafford McDowell, and then coming inside comes Carl Rowe. Big counter ruck coming here from the Lions, almost managing to win it back. Managed Tuka has gone through the ruck there and grabbed it. Pretty stupid, honestly, from him. Not entirely sure what he was thinking. Or where he thought that might have been legal. Ruck is clearly formed there. I'm not entirely sure what he thought by just, walking through and picking it up. So Glasgow now, the attacking line out. They go to the front of the line out. And it's taken there by Ferry. Now they shift to the back line. Yeah, Tupolotto goes Stafford McDowell. Lots of runners. And almost through. Inside ball. But he's lost it forward as Henko Fenton. No, it's ball been ripped. And now turned over. Good offload from the ground for Eric Renier. Asnat and Klabakanya. He decides to put the power down. Runs over Rory Dodge. Solid carry that from Asnat. And in its scrum off there for Chituka. Now, Jordan Hendricks hammers it downfield. Well, that needs to hit it. That needs to hit a fan. Oh, that's going to set up beautifully. Just sits out behind the touchline. So it'll be a goal line dropout. Not a bad kick that from Jordan Hendricks. He's just got such a big boot. That was a nice carry there from Klabakanya. Putting the lines on the front foot. I need a little bit more of that if we're going to contend here. On the halfway line, Tuka gets up to the 10-meter line. Morning Vandenberg looking for options. Goes to the left. Kuhn Horn at first receiver. Goes to Jason Pretorius. Jason Pretorius far too hard in the tackle, but now being lifted up, and he managed to offload back to Morning Vandenberg under a lot of pressure. Does very, very well as Morning Vandenberg, and comes back inside to a bit of support in the form of Morgan Nadir. Jason Pretorius there as well. Big counter coming here. Almost a bit lazy from Glasgow. Eventually is used. Tuka goes short. Far too hard in the tackle. There is Ruan Dalport. Ball available in front of Mervis. Filling in at scrum off. Lombard looking for options. Eric Cornier shifts it across to Jordan Hendrickson. Hendrickson inside to Franco Horn. Better from the Lions. Quick ball here from Hendrickson. He brings it. Rasbakana. He's got a lot of pace. Right up against the touchline. Fighting really hard to stay in field. Does do it very well. Going through the phases now. Lombard. Ed van der Merwe. Ed van der Merwe looking for options. Goes inside to Kuhn Horn. He's scored quite a few tries this season as Kuhn Horn. No advantage. Going back for the penalty. Then we're having a look at potential foul play here, I think, from the looks of it. Tuka's getting some treatment. I think that's could be the reason the stoppage. What a play he's been for the Lions so far this season. Gonna really miss him next season. Yeah, big result happening over at Loftus. With Bulls hammering them 56-35. I think, unfortunately, Benton did get a bonus point from it. Bulls conceding 4 tries. But the Lions, with a bonus point win, I think he's going for an HIA here as Chiduko's going to sit down. I think he actually could be off here. That's a pretty big player to lose if he is off for the rest of the game. But a pretty decent replacement in Ruan Fenter. So Lions definitely not losing any physicality in that sub. But bonus point victory for Lions will take them level with Benetton. He's off as I think he has an issue with his eye from the looks of it. Didn't seem anything physical. It's a very weird substitution that. Good take that from Franco Horn. Lions on 22, by the way. We're going for the touch after the penalty, which I like. I think we need to be positive here. Right, and there's the user call. So Morten Vandenberg goes to Jordan Hendrickson. Hendrickson steps inside. Solid K from him. And a penalty right in front of the poles. This should be 3-0. Yeah, I've always wondered about Jordan Hendrickson at inside centre. Actually, very different to Marius Lowe. He's far more direct, for example. But Hendrickson, he's got a decent turn of pace. He's got a good physicality. So, like defensively, for example, you don't lose anything by having him in there. But very different from the ball carrying perspective. He's a bit quicker. Probably has a better step on him. Marius Lowe far more confrontational. Is probably a good way of putting it. And no issues there for Gianni Lombard. No, he's missed it. Right in front of the poles, and he's missed it. Why is he even kicking? I don't understand why Jordan Hendricks is not kicking. I mean, we could be 6-0 up here, guys. Also, we need a bonus point. I don't understand why we're even going for polls, to be perfectly honest. Yes, I know we need the win, but guys, we need 5 points today. Right, Ruan Fender, his first carry of the day. Famously announced himself by sitting down Hamish Watson. It was the last season. That's a nice run from Hendricks. I guess he authored away, and Johnny Lombard managed to hold on. Good skill set there from the two number 10s combining. Kieran Horn shifting into Russ McConnell. He puts the hammer down. Makes a few yards. Still going as Rubs. Now Morning van den Bergen. PJ Butter. It's been intercepted. Brought down. Good work there from Eric Cornier. Now turnover ball here. Lions defense just having to shift. Big tackle there from Ruan Fenter. Soon top Lotto coming inside. Carlstein still going. Carlstein slips one. Another. Runs into Tlabakanya. He doesn't miss out. Now Tupolotto looking for options. Almost a break. I tell you, this is high octane stuff here from both sides. Another chip in behind from Horn. Kyle Rose slipped it ahead and Glasgow ahead. Congratulations, guys. You know, missing 6 points. 6 points off the tee. Now we're trying behind. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Well, I might have to have a check here, thankfully. Might be able to get something lucky. Kyle Rose over. We're going to have a check to see exactly. There might be an issue with the try, yeah? Oh, cool. So guys are pushing the face from Ruan Fender and it's going to be a yellow card. We're not even checking it, are we? Surely you got to check it. So there's an alleged shove in the face by Ruan Fenter, apparently. And the recommendation from the assistant referee was a yellow card. So that's really going to put a flippin' damper on my spirits. We haven't even seen the bloody replay. He's looking at the TV. He can't believe it. Ruan Fenter's fuming. And there's a place. So if Sutuka is off, there's a replacement got a yellow card. Guys, this has not started well yet. I'd have to see the incident, though. So we're taking the word from the touch strips because we can't actually find it. So TMO's having a great day. And you can see he was trying to look at the screen to try and work out where it was wrong, and they haven't played it because they can't find it. Yeah, no issues there with the kick here from Tom Jordan. So 7-0. Go Glasgow with a one-man advantage in the next 10 minutes as well. Lions determined to ruin my day here. Here we go. Let's have a look at this. There's actually a shot from him, actually, if we look at it. I'd really like to go back. You can't really see the incident because the camera angle's on Tupolotto. I think it's actually a shot from the Glasgow player as well. I would like to see another look at that, actually. I think it's both. Oh, that's a big mistake from Glasgow. Just pass it to nobody. Now, massive counter-attack coming through from the Lions. I think if you go back and look at the incident, it's two players shoving each other on the ground, and that looks so soft. It's a decent box kick, but it'll be a Lions ball outside the 22. You have to respond here. Gotta respond here, boys. Gotta respond. 15 minutes almost on the clock. And the security, Edel van der Merwe. Back of there. It's deceptively strong ball carriers, Edel van der Merwe. Now Klabakanye can't hold on, and it's a knock on. We'll have our first scrum of the day. Not clicking at the moment for the Lions. Very, very frustrating. Interesting to see how the scrums go here, actually. Right, let's see how the scrum happens. Glasgow slightly heavier than the Lions, but obviously the Lions don't currently actually have Uran Fenter adding any weight to it. So I don't know if that's been adjusted to factor that in, the fact that it's a 7-man scrum here for the Lions. Big scrum here needed. Come on, lads. Just hold steady. Looking for a second shove here, Glasgow. And it's going to be a reset. Decent, actually, from the Lions, considering they're a man down.